therapist in burnout. What's this look like? You might be a therapist in burnout if you're happy when a client cancels last minute and you now have a gap in your over-scheduled schedule. You might be a therapist in burnout if you resent that client for not giving you enough notice. You might be a therapist in burnout when you have mixed emotions about that client and wanting to see them, but also being grateful for the break. You might be a therapist in burnout if you struggle to write your notes at the end of the day because you're running on empty. You might be a therapist in burnout when you lack empathy because you're feeling empty, numb, short-fused, or irritable. You might be a therapist in burnout when a long weekend or a vacation isn't enough to restore you. You might be a therapist in burnout when you lose your hair, gain weight, or lose sleep. You might be a therapist in burnout when thinking about taking on new clients gives you a sense of dread in the pit of your stomach. You might be a therapist in burnout when you struggle financially to justify taking that break that you very much need. You might be a therapist in burnout when you fantasize about selling your business, walking away, and doing something else. You might be a therapist in burnout when you snap at your family and realize that work is bleeding into home. You might be a therapist in burnout when you realize you can't watch a show or TV without it reminding you of work. You might be a therapist in burnout when even networking with colleagues feels like too much work and too much energy. You might be a therapist in burnout when a client tells you a traumatic story and you're unaffected, numb, fuzzy. You might be a therapist in burnout when your mind wanders while a client's talking, thinking about what's for dinner or making a mental list. You might be a therapist in burnout because we can't just do this on our own. I want you to know this part of my burnout story and burnout recovery. You can do this, but you don't have to do this by yourself. It does take effort to come out of burnout, even as a helping professional.